Hello everybody, it's your boy Bandit Banks here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm doing something a bit different, but it's something that I wanted to do. Today I will be surviving 100 days in the forest hard survival without going down at any point. So pretty much a one life challenge. If you do enjoy this different type of video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as this video did take quite a while to make. But with that, let's hop straight in to the cringy intro and this video. So this playthrough starts as any other would, starting up a hard survival game, nice long loading screen, a horrific plane crash, and then an unwanted visit from the adoption agency to take my only son. However, there's no time to think about him, because it's day one. After stealing an axe, snacks, and booze from the plane, I immediately almost kill myself with a poison mushroom, then get to looting. I recognize my spawn location, so I head to a nearby cave. Inside this cave is the katana, which is a powerful early game weapon, as well as the flashlight, which can be useful for some situations. Upon leaving this cave, I head to another nearby cave, which also houses an item that I want. After finding the cave and nearly dying to the guards, I pick up the modern axe. With the modern axe and katana now equipped, I start looking for a piece of real estate. And after scouting many locations, I decide on this beautiful cliff face. So after setting up some blueprints for defensive walls and a temporary structure, I head to bed on night one. Day two had to be a productive day. The only thing standing between me and death was this invisible wall, so logs were required. In between my logging expeditions on this day, I did a bit of hunting. I went down to the beach, got myself a turtle shell to make a water collector. I set up a more permanent bed, and I made sure to introduce myself properly to my new neighbors. So at the end of the day, I had finished about a third of the wall, but did have some food, water, and armor. Unfortunately though, I did go to bed a little bit too early, so when I woke up it was still the night of day two, so I just stayed within my invisible walls, scared shitless until the sun rose. As the sun rose on day three, I was determined never to be scared like that again, so I was finishing the walls today. This meant that for most of day three, the forest was actually a logging simulator. If you ever played the forest before, you know there's going to be a bunch more days like this coming. The neighbors also decided to leave me alone for the day, so today was pretty peaceful. By the end of the day, the wall had been finished. I had put the reinforcement blueprints down because I was going to need this wall to be sturdy for the next 97 days, and I went to bed feeling safer than ever before. Day 4 was another relatively peaceful day. I spent the majority of the day collecting sticks and rocks for the wall reinforcements, though I did take a few minutes to hunt an invincible deer that took all my arrows and a katana to kill, as well as go down to the beach and get some more turtle shells so that I can up my water supply. By the end of the day, some of the reinforcements had been completed, and before freezing to death, I decided to head to bed. I started off day 5 by hunting and killing a rabbit so that I could get its fur and craft a stick bag, allowing me to carry 20 sticks instead of 10. Literally all, and I mean all, that I did for the rest of day 5 was collect rocks and sticks, but by the time night fell, I only needed 69 more rocks and 95 more sticks to complete the wall reinforcements. Day 6 started the way day 5 ended, collecting sticks and rocks, but today we finished the wall reinforcements. And now that I feel safe inside my own walls, it's time to start planning my base. So after a bit of thought, I placed down the foundation for the main house, and once everything looks how I want it to look, I begin logging. Again. And while yes, I know that logging is a bit boring, I know that this is going to be one of the only peaceful times I get during this playthrough before shit hits the fan, so I have no problem spending these early days logging. So here comes day 7. Today I logged, and then I killed a man. Yeah, that's about it. Early in day 8, the main foundation for the house is finished, and I like the way it's looking. However, I am starting to see a heightened presence of cannibals in the area, so I know war is coming soon. That being said, I place down and finish some stairs so that I can access the main floor of my house, and then design how I want the main floor to look. Going with 2 balconies to shoot cannibals from, and then a main indoor section. I spend the rest of the day collecting the logs for the walls and getting into a small disagreement with one of the neighbors. On day 9, I started by crafting the repair tool because one of the neighbors had vandalized my house, and then decided it was a good time to play Logging Simulator 2022. By the end of the day, most of the walls had been completed, though I was starting to run out of water and other supplies, so tomorrow I would need to address that. I started off day 10 by heading to the nearby village to steal some rope. I used this rope to make a water skin in order to more easily transport water, and then headed to the beach for a nice view and to kill a turtle. After this, I did a little bit of hunting, finished up the walls on the first floor, and placed the roof. Though during this roof placing process, I ended up getting stuck in between my 2 staircases, so that was scary until I got out. But after collecting some logs for the roof and then placing some fences on my balconies to prevent unwanted falls, I decided to head to bed. Day 11, we have the introduction of a new character to the story arc, Mad Toaster Waffles, who we will call Toast, a real-life friend who wanted to help me out with this video. I also must emphasize at this point in the video that the challenge is that me, does not go down at any point in this video, so having a meat shield to go down for me and protect me is definitely helpful. But today, Toast helped me finish up the roof and the stick balconies, while also demonstrating the flammability of human beings. We started off day 12 by taking Toast to get the modern axe from the nearby cave, and on our way back we actually ran into our first mutant, an Armsy. But using big brain strats, we had the Armsy do some deforestation for us before taking him down. These logs were gonna be needed as I placed the blueprints for the big barricades around the outside of our base, providing that final yet all-important layer of protection. However, the cannibals must have caught wind of this plan because they launched an all-out assault in the afternoon on our base, downing Toast and nearly killing me as well. But with the uprising dealt with, we went to bed on night 12. On lucky number day 13, I started by heading down to the beach to wash off some blood, collected a turtle shell that went for a flight, dealt with a few locals that got me recovered in blood, went back down to the beach to wash off the blood, then came home so me and Toast could deal with our first Virginia encounter of the playthrough. And after placing some more blueprints for the barricades down, we called it a night. Day 14 started by mounting the slain Virginia's head in our doorway, placing the remaining barricade blueprints, and then grabbing some logs for those barricades. After a bit of logging, we dealt with our first double mutant attack, being attacked by an Armsy and a Virginia, but using big brain strats, we killed the Virginia, and then used the Armsy to chop down some trees. We then killed the Armsy, chopped off its head, mounted it in our doorway, used the logs it cut down to build the barricades, and went to bed on day 14. Day 15 was mostly spent underground, as we did some cave exploring, stocking up on all the supplies we could get our hands on. We accidentally found and took the map and compass, and upon exiting that cave, we were greeted by quite the welcoming party. Also at this time, we noticed we were close to the katana cave, so I took Toast over so that he could also get the katana so we could both have that powerful weapon. After this, we headed home, sat around the fire romantically for a few minutes, and then went to bed. Day 16 was a day of logging, mutants, and murder, which could be used to describe the entire series and the entire game, but I'm just going to use it to describe Day 16. When people ask me, how did Day 17 go in your 100 days in the forest? Which no one has yet. This is the clip I show them to summarize today. After we had dealt with the mutant swarm, I went down to the beach to wash off the blood to avoid infection. The outer barricades of our base were finally finished. We then built some birdhouses to get more feathers, did a little interior design, placed down some blueprints for how we wanted the main floor to look, and right before we went to bed, an Armsy actually jumped our outer wall and got inside the base, so we had to fight this mutant at night, which was not fun. On day 18, me and Toast reflected on the events of day 17 and decided we wanted to get the modern bow, which is probably the best weapon in the game. Before we started our journey to get the modern bow though, we needed a few pieces of equipment, the first of those being the climbing axe, so day 18 was dedicated to getting that. So we traveled across the map, found the entrance to a cave. When in that cave, I nearly shit myself. And after dealing with a few cannibals and mutants, we got ourselves the climbing axe. That night, however, we had to sprint home through the cold because it had taken us so long to get to that point. On day 19, we went to get the other main piece of equipment that we needed, the rebreather. In similar fashion, we found the cave, went inside, killed some cannibals, and found the rebreather. After this, we made our way back home. We knew we'd need more bones if we wanted to go on this journey, so we decided to set up a death trap, which was pretty much just a circle of happy birthday traps. After the blueprints were placed and we started doing a little bit of construction, it got dark, so we decided to head to bed. Day 20 was mostly spent dealing with cannibal swarms. We set up some rabbit traps, burned some bodies to get a significant amount of bones. I learned that certain species of birds are not flammable. I absolutely sniped this deer, and then we went to bed. Day 21 was mostly spent gathering bones for our long modern bow journey. I also took some time to finish up the explosive holders in our main room and the shelves for medicine that we would never use. All in all though, it was a pretty stress-free day, just getting some bones and living life. Tomorrow was our planned day to start the journey for the modern bow. So day 22 was our final preparations day. Considering I can't die, we wanted to make sure we had everything we could possibly need. Plenty of armor, arrows, and all that good jazz. I also took some time today to plan out the staircase to the second floor and also construct it, as I was envisioning a grand tower to call home and one floor just wasn't cutting it anymore. So the day had arrived, day 23, it was time to go and get the modern bow. And then Toast went AFK for the entire day. So I spent the entire day watching Toast in his trap and then kicking him as night fell so that I could go to bed. Day 24, Toast had returned though, so we could finally actually start the modern bow journey. So we traveled across the map, entered a cave, stood on top of this ledge shooting down at the Armsy, until I accidentally fell in and saw the entire playthrough flash before my eyes. However, we were able to clear out this swarm, then break down some barricades, use the climbing axe that we had acquired earlier, fight some more cannibals and babies, and then find ourselves a tent to sleep in on night 24. Waking up in a cave on day 25, today was the day. So, we equipped the rebreather, broke down a barricade, killed some cannibals, ran past some Virginias, went for a swim, and when we surfaced, we found a campsite in which was the modern bow. After we had warmed up by the fire, we began and completed the long journey out of the cave, and upon exiting it, instead of heading home, we actually decided to head to another nearby cave, which also housed an item that we wanted. So we found the cave, went inside, and upon entering this blood-soaked room, we found the chainsaw. And with our expeditions and discoveries done for the day, we exited the cave, but it was already nighttime, so we just set up and slept in a temporary shelter. Day 26, we started off by heading home. I made a decision today that I wanted to mount every single animal's head along the back wall of our main floor, beginning with this deer's head. After this, I headed down to the beach, witnessed some cannibals doing some strange dancing, chopped a shark's head off, brought it back, and mounted it right next to the deer head. After this, me and Toast dealt with our first cowman encounter, who is a big fat dude who destroys things. But after killing him, we mounted his head. I placed the blueprints for the walls on the second floor, and then we called it a night. Day 27 was a bit of a mix, as half the day I'd say was spent in the happy birthday traps, killing cannibals and collecting as many bones as possible, while the other half of the day was spent logging in order to construct the walls on the second floor. Overall though, today was a very, very chill day, just your average day in the forest. Day 28 was mostly focused on getting the second floor walls up. We decided to make the walls 2 high instead of 1 on this floor, as this was going to be our main living area, and we wanted it to look nice. Now I won't lie to you guys, I think today actually might have been 2 days in length. What I mean by that is when I went back to edit the footage, it was double the time it should have been for day 28. So I think I accidentally recorded an extra day and then folded them both as day 28. So this might have been 101 day survived, which is a little more impressive, I guess. But yeah, that is how we got most of the walls done for the second floor on day quote-unquote 28. And after mounting a very, very tiny rabbit's head on a spike, we went to bed. Day 29 was another relatively peaceful day. We finished up the walls on the second floor, had a visit from a disgruntled Armsy whose head was swiftly removed and then put up for display. We built our first rabbit cage as well at this point and put our first inhabitant in it, in hopes to one day start a rabbit family. And after a bit of blueprint work to place down the fences for the second floor balcony, we placed a hilariously small lizard head next to the hilariously small rabbit head and called it a night. Day 30, the peace was over. It was time for war. Today we experienced an absolutely massive assault on our base, with 5 mutants and countless swarms of cannibals coming at us. It was a long and bloody day. But by the end of it, we had emerged victorious, with a ton of bones and nearly a full set of creepy armor to complement. So we made sure to head to bed early tonight to get lots of rest, because murder does take a lot of energy. Day 31 was mostly spent gathering logs to finish up the second floor roof. I did have this magical tree that when I cut it down once, it turned into 2 trees. Not complaining. And then we conveniently had 2 Armsies come over to us, so we each took 1, and we made them do our work for us. By the end of the day, the roof for the second floor was done, though we did have to put a bit of a patch down, as there was a small sliver not covered that would otherwise annoy me. We also placed a skull chandelier to flex, though it's not fully done yet, and then we decided to get some shut-eye. Day 32, I decided to start off with a nice arm for breakfast. We are trying to lose sanity to get access to the effigies, and eating cannibal meat does help. We then spent a good majority of our time in the death trap today, killing cannibals, chopping them up, and using their limbs for food. I also spent a bit of time today making arrow baskets on the second floor balconies and filling them up, so that we would have easy access to arrows. We originally planned to stay out all night to get as many cannibals as possible, but then we heard an Armsy and we ran to bed scared. Day 33, we started working on the defensive wall on the top of the base. The plan was to connect the top of the base to the top of the cliff, so you could access the base from either the top or the bottom. First, obviously though, we needed to defend the top. So pretty much the entire day I collected logs. This included accidentally dropping a tree on one of the recently completed defensive walls, destroying it entirely, which was frustrating. I did also collect a squirrel head today and add that to the collection. Toast spent most of the day collecting bones, but he had to free me from behind the foundation after I got stuck by busting down one of the main walls in our house. Day 34 was arguably the most boring day in the entire series. All I did today was chop down logs to build the defensive wall up top, while Toast reinforced the death trap down below. Toast and myself spent day 35 reinforcing the top wall. We had a visit from an Armsy, did a bit of dismemberment, and by the end of the day, my sanity had dropped enough that I was able to build effigies. So after placing a few of those effigy blueprints around our base, we called it a night. The first thing we did on day 36 was place the blueprints for the big barricades around the upper wall. These barricades were a tedious but necessary step to ensure maximum protection for the upper entrance to our base. After this, a few unlucky cannibals stopped by, and considering we needed arms, legs, and heads for the effigies, we were happy to remove the burden of their limbs from them. But for the rest of the day, me and Toast just focused on building those barricades. Day 37 was another one of those copy-paste days of just logging, getting the main grunt work of logging done for the barricades today. We did have an encounter with a few cannibals, and I sniped this deer with a spear on this beautiful cliff face, but nothing else really happened. Day 38 started with an absolutely brutal sight. There I was, cutting my logs, and I hear the faint sound of a chainsaw. Turn around and I witness the Texas Chainsaw Massacre happening in the woods behind me. After Toast was done with his bloodlust though, we finished up the barricades, decided on adding another floor, got stuck behind the foundations again, and this time I had to break down a defensive wall to get out, but we quickly replaced it, and then we went to sleep. Day 39, we were getting logs for the walls on the top floor. Toast was using an armsy that stopped by because he didn't want to use chainsaw fuel. And after completing most of the walls with the exception of 2 so that we could jump back and forth between the cliff and the top floor, we placed the blueprint for the roof and began working on that. After accidentally pushing Toast off the edge of the cliff and behind the foundations, we had to destroy a log cart that went with him, and then I noticed that we were just missing 2 barricades. Somehow. Toast claims to know nothing about it, but we all know what happened. The morning of day 40 was spent dealing with an all-out assault by the cannibals and mutants again. We lit one of the effigies on fire and it seemed to do nothing, and we were unable to light the other one on fire due to the sheer size of this swarm. We just didn't have a moment to. But after a bloody morning and the help of fire, we were able to take down the swarm. The rest of the day was spent finishing off the roof and walls of the top floor and placing down the blueprint that will finally connect the top floor to the cliff. Day 41 was spent finishing this foundation. We had to deal with a bit of a visit from the taxman, but after he was satisfied, we finished up the foundation, and after a tiny patch, the cliff was officially connected to the roof, and it was looking good. Day 42, I was back to being solo, so I had to be a bit more careful, as I still can't die, and this time I don't have a meat shield with me. But that being said, I absolutely sniped these 3 cannibals from my balcony, placed the blueprint down for what might be the worst positioned staircase ever, try out my own Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then head to the beach to wash the blood off. While I'm at the beach, I make sure to take this opportune moment to kill a turtle, cut off its head, and mount it on my back wall. And after finishing the staircase, I head to bed. Day 43 starts off with some good news, as the bunnies finally did the deed, and our little future food family is starting to grow. I then spend the morning placing a staircase between the 3rd floor and the roof. And once it is finished, the entire building is now connected. You can now get from the bottom of the cliff to the top, just through the inside of our base. I then spend the rest of the afternoon planning out what the roof is going to be. By the end of the day, I decided I want that to be the main farming area, so I know what I'm doing tomorrow. Day 44, I built 2 gardens up top, as well as a ton of rabbit cages, and moved all the rabbits from the lower cages to the upper, so that they can live in a proper farm. I would have liked to accomplish more today, but we had a bunch of unwanted visitors who I had to turn into bone, so that took up a decent amount of time. Day 45, I decided that the 3rd floor was going to be for the main storage of all the medicine, sodas, food, cloth, and bones. So I placed down the blueprints for all these storage devices and then spent the rest of the day collecting logs and sticks. And by the time I went to bed, I still needed 200. It's day 46 and wow, would you look at that? All of the bushes regrew. It must have been magic, and definitely not me abusing the fact that when you reload the game, all of the bushes regrow. So yeah, I used this magical blessing to fill my stick needs for the day. And I also met Spider-Man today. Haters will say it's just a cannibal glitching up and down the tree, but they just don't believe. By the morning of day 47, all of these sticks had been collected, and the storage room was completed. I spent a good chunk of today moving stuff into the storage room, all of the furs that are needed, all of the bones, stuff like that. I also took some time today to make a dinner table for me and Toast for when he returned. This table was made out of bone chairs, just as a bit of a flex to the locals. I then saw 3 mutants roaming around the outside of the base, so I did what any sane person did and went to bed very early. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, I just did a bit of design work on the middle floor. Day 48, I decided to change the pace up a bit. I decided I want to get my hands on the warm suit. But in order to get that, I would need a piece of raccoon fur. Now, raccoons are the rarest animal in the game. So day 48, I set out to find a spot where raccoons can more easily be found. So I travel across the map, find a lake that a video tells me to go to, and managed to get my hands on not 1, but 2 raccoon furs, so Toast will have one when he decides to build the warm suit. And of course, I ran the raccoon head home, mounted it, and then called it a night. Because I enjoyed hunting so much, day 49 was going to be dedicated to hunting boar, which only spawned in the north end of the map. So I made my way across the map and began my hunting expeditions. I needed 7 boar skin to build everything that you could build with boar skin in the game, so that was my goal. By the time night fell, I had successfully killed 4 boar and collected 4 boar skin, so I just decided to set up a temporary shelter and sleep up north on night 49. Today was day 50, which meant I was halfway through this challenge, but there was no time to lose focus now, so I immediately got back to hunting. Throughout the day, I managed to find and kill the last 3 deer I needed, making sure to behead the final one and run that boar head all the way home so that I could put it up on my trophy wall. I then decided this was probably a good time to craft the pouch to collect berries in, as I hadn't done that yet. After this, I crafted the rock bag. Realizing I don't have the other supplies needed to craft the spear and worm suit, I just decided to head to bed and let that be a day 51 problem. Day 51 began by heading down to the nearby village and lake to get some rope. This rope was then used to craft a spear bag. I then proceeded to hunt a rabbit, and with its skin acquired, I finally had everything I needed to craft a worm suit. After the worm suit was crafted, I decided to have a bit of a relaxing day. I placed the blueprints for the balcony fences on the storage room floor, and spent the rest of the day collecting sticks and finishing them up. Day 52, I discovered blackberries, built a ton of birdhouses, burned some bodies, and this really fucking cute bird landed on my finger at the end of the day, making everything in life okay for a minute. Day 53, Toast returned. However, he turned out to be a bad influence, as he convinced me to explore this cave near our house. I lost 4 creepy armor doing so. I then decided, let's have a nice peaceful afternoon and collect berries. However, I didn't know that the snowberries were poison, so today was not a very productive day. Day 54, we wanted to be more productive, so we decided to head up north. Toast wanted to get the 7 boar skin that he needed, and I wanted to get a crocodile's head to add to my collection. We both searched the entire day and found neither a crocodile's head nor any boar skin at all. But Toast did decide to set up a bit of a hunting shelter up north, so we had a place to go anytime we had to visit there. Day 55, I searched the entire shoreline and found no crocodiles at all. I did, however, find a ton of aloe and blueberries, so I went home to plant those seeds. I planted the aloe seeds, and across from them I planted the blueberry seeds. Forgot to mention we did start a bit of a blueberry farm, and it's going pretty well. I spent the rest of the day staring longingly at my wall of heads, wishing there was a crocodile head there. And then me and Toast slept apart for the first time in this entire series. Day 56, I headed back up north to continue my search for a crocodile head, and to be a good friend to Toast and help him get his boar skin. Toast told me to take a peek inside of his hunting shelter, and when I did, there was a crocodile head mounted in the hunting shelter. Like the head that I needed, right? The rare head. He got one, and he decided, instead of, bringing it back to the base, let's mount it in the hunting shelter. And I was pissed, right? So I went out hunting for crocodiles, but I'm not Toast, so of course I didn't get one. And then we just had an awkward sleep that night. Overall negative day, I would say. Day 57 was the 4th day of crocodile hunting. Yes, here she is. I finally got a crocodile. Turns out I beat the body up so much that when I went to chop its head off, the body actually disappeared. But the head stayed, thank God. So I ran that head all the way home and very proudly mounted it on my animal wall. I only needed 2 more heads to complete my animal wall, so I headed down to the beach to try to get a seagull. And I actually got one. I guess the game felt bad for making me wait that long for a crocodile head. So I went home, mounted the seagull head, and I was 1 goose head short of completing my wall. By day 58, I had forgiven Toast for the whole crocodile head situation, so I went up north to help him hunt boar, because he was having literally no luck at all. But I guess it turns out that karma's a bitch, because I didn't find any either, so now Toast was the one having no luck finding animals. And by the end of the day, we had collected a total of 0 boar skin. So I slept like a baby, knowing Toast was having just as much trouble as I had. Day 59, we were getting tired of hunting, so we decided to embark on a new quest, getting the flintlock pistol. We needed to gather 8 parts for this pistol. The first part was found up north in the cold area. Now I had a warm suit, but Toast didn't. So I had to place a fire for him near the gun part so that he wouldn't freeze to death. However, I may have placed this fire just a little bit too close to the hole containing the part, because when I blew that hole up, Toast went flying. On our way to the next gun part, we killed a baby and I took its head because I still hadn't mounted one of those yet. And I kept that head with me the entire day as we collected 3 more gun parts. And then headed home, mounted the head, and went to bed. The original plan for day 60 was to go get the rest of the gun parts. However, that entire plan changed when Toast said this.
What the fuck is that? Do you see that? Come here. Look over here.
That's the worm.
This is the worm, a late game boss that can absolutely devastate a base and destroy anything in its path. So we spent the first 2/3 of the day, I would say, taking a chainsaw to it. Somehow the worm managed to get inside and behind our foundations, so it took quite a while to fully kill this thing. But after we had finally defeated it, we headed to a nearby village to restock on supplies, grabbed one of the pistol parts, and went to bed. Day 61, we wanted to grab the last 3 gun parts. We started by heading to the nearby village, then the big tree, and finally building a boat and heading out to an island. And then finally, we were able to craft the flintlock pistol, a weapon that we would never actually use in real combat. After this, we headed to Goose Lake to try to hunt a goose and get that final head for the wall. And after missing a ton of arrow shots on geese, we decided it was time to head home and then to bed. Day 62, we headed back to Goose Lake to try to get our hands on that final head. However, Toast decided it would be a great idea to explore this cave next to Goose Lake. That was a bad and scary choice. And upon exiting the cave, we got back to goose hunting. Toast then managed to snipe a goose out of the air that was invisible on my screen, but it doesn't matter because the head was there. After that, we headed home, and I let Toast do the honor of mounting the final head on our trophy wall. Day 63, me and Toast decided that we had a pretty completed fortress, well defended, so it was time to have a bit of a vacation home. We decided it would be a good idea to put our cottage on these 2 rocks so that we could watch over the cannibals. We began working on a zipline relay from our base to the cottage because we didn't want to have to walk there. And by the end of the day, we had a tower in between our 2 buildings and a zipline blueprint running between them. On day 64, we finished constructing the first half of the zip lines, making sure to put a little fence at the end so that we didn't go flying off. I then took a little bit of time to place the foundations around the 2 rocks, so the base of our cottage. And we constructed a little boat with a ton of log holders on it so that we could easily transport logs from the shore to the rocks without having to construct a bridge of some sort. Also, earlier in the day, I was trying to delete a glitched log cart underneath our foundations and may have put a giant hole in one of the balconies. But I put a fence around it, hoping that Toast wouldn't notice. And he did notice. Day 65 started in classic fashion by dropping a tree onto our log boat, destroying all the log holders entirely. My bad. But after quickly rebuilding it and filling it up, we completed 1 full run and came back to shore to refill it when this happened. Again. And Toast tried to blame me for this one. Don't believe me? Listen.
What? What did you do?
That was you!
I don't even see any logs next to it.
After this, we rebuilt and filled up the log boat as much as possible and then headed home. Day 66 started off by drowning 3 mutants who tried to mess with us, and then finishing both of the foundations on the rocks. I then spent the rest of the day trying to place the zipline, though for some reason, no matter what I tried, it was not letting me place this zipline. And I wasn't really sure why, but it got dark, so I would have to spend tomorrow problem solving this. We spent the morning of day 67 trying to figure out why the zipline wasn't working. We looked at other ways we could do the zipline, but about halfway through the day, I managed to snap the zipline in a okay position. We weren't sure if it would work though, so we built it and it turns out it worked just fine. And while it may not have been beautiful, it got the job done. The morning of day 68, I placed a bridge between the 2 foundations on the rocks to make it 1 full cottage. We then filled up the log boat and built the foundation. We also built some walls in the corner of the zipline room so that it would stop us from flying off the edge the next time we took the zipline. I then started placing a foundation for a bit of a dock, just somewhere we could park the boat, when a cowman ran underwater and rammed the bridge, destroying it 99%. However, it was still technically standing, and we would be able to fix it up tomorrow with a lot of logs. It then got dark pretty quick, so we decided to head to bed. It's day 69, which means it's my favorite day in the series for no particular reason. We start off today by repairing the bridge that just survived by a thread. After this, I placed the blueprint down for the dock just above water level with a little cutout for the boat, and we then fill the boat up with the logs required to build that dock. The boat ended up getting stuck, however, when we placed the final log on top of the foundation, and after a bit of searching on how to remove a stuck boat from on top of this foundation, we were finally able to with a rock wall blueprint. I started off day 70 by heading to the plane crash to pick up the metal tray so that I could share items with Toast. We didn't need to share anything at the moment, but I just realized that I didn't have it. After this, I headed back to help Toast fill up the log boat. We then brought the boat over to the dock and started designing the first floor. After we figured out where we wanted everything, we constructed the walls and about half of the roof before it got dark and we went to bed. Day 71 started by filling up the log boat again, and once it was filled, bringing it over to the cottage and finishing the first floor. We then constructed a staircase up to the second floor and started planning it out. We were envisioning a giant fuck you tower to tower over the cannibals and let them know who was in charge. And we experimented a bit with a gazebo design, but something about it just didn't quite seem right. So we placed down normal walls and fences for the bridge and continued building. I also somehow managed to drop another tree on the log boat before deciding it was time to head to bed. Day 72, we repaired the log boat, filled it up, finished up the second floor, placed a staircase to the third floor, and then started filling up the log boat again before it got dark. But you've seen footage like that 71 times before. So instead, I decided to show you the entire zipline trip from the main base to the cottage. Day 73 started with Toast destroying yet another log boat. I can't even blame him though, we're 2 and 2 now. But we used these logs to finish the staircase to the third floor, and then we decided to make our dream of a gazebo towering over the cannibals a reality. Or at least start to build that reality. Day 74, we realized that we hadn't collected all of these special blueprints from around the map, so we decided to start that journey today. So we found the first underwater cave, went inside, picked up the blueprints for the tower and the glider, then exited, proceeded to the next underwater cave, went inside and got the blueprints for the church and cross. It was dark, however, as we rowed back to shore, and there was a group of cannibals waiting for us. However, we all know the only rule the cannibals respect is nap time. So all we did was place a temporary shelter, went to bed, and when we woke up, none of them were there. Day 75, we marveled in awe at the Giga FU Tower. This was going to be our centerpiece, and this was the FU Tower that we were looking for. But first, we traveled to the other side of the map to gather the final blueprint. And after finding the underwater cave, going in, and collecting the blueprint for the roller coaster, we made our exit, and Toast forgot to switch his oxygen tanks on the way out, so he drowned, and I couldn't save him. However, his backpack was there, so after saving Toast from a group of cannibals, he made the swim and dive without a rebreather, and managed to get to his bag and equip his rebreather before he drowned. And there I was, waiting for him on the beach with a fire to celebrate his survival. Day 76 was mostly spent planning the Giga FU Tower. We experimented with multiple designs, but decided that we wanted this thing right smack on top of our base, and we didn't care that we had to sacrifice all of the birdhouses and the aloe farm to make this magnificent tower. Day 77 started with a visit from the worm. So after a relatively unpleasant morning of stabbing sausages with katanas, me and Toast got back to the activity we really wanted to be doing today. Logging in order to build the Giga FU Tower. Day 78 was another day of logging for the FU Tower, though Toast did decide to test out his secret super ability of flight today, and that did not go well. By the time night fell, we only needed 60 more logs to complete the tower, though for some reason the game wouldn't let me sleep, so we just stayed up all night in the happy birthday trap, killing cannibals. Early in the day on day 79, we finished the Giga, and one true fuck you tower that would tower over and assert dominance over every living being on this island. We then obviously built the glider and went for our first flight. However, we had never flown before, so I almost died on my first flight. And from there on, I knew I had to be careful because I am not dying with 20 days left. With that being said though, on day 80, it was way too much fun. And I learned that you couldn't die from fall damage, or you wouldn't take much as long as you didn't let go of the glider. So all we did day 80 was fly. And I mean all we did. From the time the sun rose till the time the sun set, we flew everywhere. And it was awesome. Day 81, we wanted to see if we could get to our hunting cabin from the FU Tower. And we could. While we were up here, we decided it was finally time to get Toast his warm suit, so it was time to get back to hunting boar. By the time night fell, we only needed one more boar skin to get Toast his warm suit, and we decided that tonight we would sleep in the hunting shelter. Day 82, we got the last boar skin that Toast needed. I made sure to give all the furs I had to him, and he was finally able to craft a warm suit. Now that we both had warm suits, we equipped them and went up north to find the plane's cockpit. Once we had located the wreckage, we took the flare gun, set up a temporary shelter, and went to bed. At the start of day 83, we flew home and decided that we wanted to continue working on the cottage. More specifically, the gazebo on top of it. From Toast's perspective, the cottage blueprints were actually sticking through the foundation and blocking the stairs. So to play it safe, we replaced the blueprints for the gazebo and got to work collecting the logs for it. Day 84, we emptied the first load of the logboat into the gazebo, filled the logboat back up, and then emptied the second load in order to finish the gazebo. And we're glad we did move it, because it turned out the gazebo did clip through the building and block off this little corner of the room, so we couldn't get there anymore, but we still had full access to the stairs, so it was okay. But with the gazebo now finished, we attached a rope, climbed up, and were able to tower over the nearby cannibal village in a gazebo. A true power move, if you ask me. Making us feel so invincible that we didn't even bother going to bed on night 84. In the morning of day 85, we headed back to our main base, dealing with an armsy and some cannibals who were not happy with our recent construction projects. But after we dealt with them, we grabbed our gliders and headed over to a nearby cave. We went in this cave, killed an armsy, and picked up this key card. If you know what this key card is, then you know exactly what we're planning to do on the last 2 days of this series. But with this key card now equipped, we flew home, then I went for a bit of a joy flight, and we went to bed. Day 86, we were just trying to find some things to do to pass the time before the end game, so we decided, let's build a roller coaster from our main base to the cottage. It did take quite a while to place the blueprints actually, but once they were placed, we got back to our favorite activity in the forest, logging. Day 87 was another day spent logging, and by the end of the day, the coaster was completed. The goal of this coaster was to be able to pretty much jump the cottage. However, we realized that we may have forgot to take physics into account when designing the ramp at the end of this coaster, because it just didn't work. So at the end of the day, I placed a fix at the end of the coaster that we would construct tomorrow and see if it would help. Day 88 started with a near heart attack after I accidentally found out that the coaster is actually blocking the zip line. After I'd recovered from this, we finished up the fix on the coaster and discovered that it did pretty much nothing to help the situation. After this, I destroyed the previous zip line and placed a new one in order to avoid the coaster, and then we stayed up late venting some anger on some poor cannibals. Day 89 was a pretty peaceful day spent traveling around the map collecting plants. Mainly coneflower, marigold, and aloe, as these three could be combined to create health mixes which pretty much just act like medication. Day 90 was another one of these relatively peaceful days. I realized we hadn't done much to the middle floor, so I spent most of the day decorating, dealt with a Virginia, and then continued decorating, while Toast spent the majority of his day in the happy birthday trap collecting bones. By the end of the day, we had a huge stockpile of bones, and the middle floor was looking a little bit nicer. A good portion of day 91 was spent dealing with a huge 4-mutant attack on our base, and while it was time consuming, by the time the attack was done, I managed to get myself a full set of creepy armor. I then spent the rest of the day doing just a little bit more interior decorating on the middle floor before calling it a night. Day 92, we wanted to get some more supplies, so we headed to the nearby cave, looted that, spent a good majority of the day underground, and then proceeded to loot the village where we exited the cave. This is all obviously in an effort to have the maximum possible amount of supplies before going to the endgame. And we were nice and tired after a long day of pillaging, so we decided to head to bed. Day 93, we decided to do what any good colonizers would do and force the religion we don't believe in on the locals. So we constructed a church and a cross right in the center of the nearby cannibal village, and spent the day constructing it for Jesus. And given that we were not attacked at all during this day, I'd say that's a divine sign that this was the right thing to do. By the end of the day, our construction projects had been completed, and people had been saved. But we were tired after a long day of doing the Lord's work, so we decided to head to bed. However, we went to bed a little bit too early on day 93, so when we woke up it was still nighttime. So I just decided to watch the beautiful sunrise on day 94 from the Fuck You gazebo. A lot of the rest of day 94 was spent in the happy birthday trap, just collecting bones, getting those also valuable supplies, and also returning to the plane crash site to get some supplies from there. Day 95, we stumbled across a random cave that we had never explored before, so that's what we did today. We explored a scary ass cave that neither of us had seen before. And we actually had a pretty good time doing it. But by the time we had resurfaced, it was pretty much nighttime and we were really far from our base, so we just decided to set up a temporary structure and fall asleep in the wilderness tonight. Day 96, I decided that I wanted a grand entrance when we went into the sinkhole, so I went over and placed the blueprint for a turtle shell coaster that would lead into the sinkhole. Now, I was under the impression that turtle shells negated all fall damage. However, Toast was fairly positive if we did this, we would die. So we agreed that when the time came, he would go first to test who was right, and considering it was safe, I would follow, but if he was right, I wouldn't die and we wouldn't lose literally tens of hours of progress at this point. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that day 96, we built most of this ramp into the sinkhole because I thought it would look cool. On the morning of day 97, we finished the slide into the sinkhole, making our final preparations complete. We spent the rest of the day fighting off some mutants near our base, and decided that tonight we want to be fancy and sleep on the yacht. So we headed over and went to bed. Day 98 was the final day before heading off to the endgame. I spent the morning collecting blackberries. Then me and Toast realized that we had been sleeping in the same bed all these days when we clearly had enough wealth to each have our own. So I placed my bed down, told Toast to place his where he wanted it, and he placed it directly next to mine. Awesome. I then went for a last flight, taking in all that we had accomplished over the last 98 days, and it was beautiful. It is now day 99, which means the time has arrived. We stocked up and flew over to our ramp, as it was time to beat the game. As agreed, Toast went down the slide first, and I waited at the top for the all clear. But it turned out that Toast was actually right, and he did die falling into that sinkhole. So I grabbed a glider to fly down and save him. So I now realize that I would have died on day 99 because it looked cool without Toast. So I appreciate you, buddy. After reviving Toast and then getting myself stuck and unstuck, we made our way through the pretty lengthy cave system and found the vault door. Upon opening it and marveling at how bad of a job the interior decorator did, we made our way through a series of pretty cool laboratories and cafeterias, killed some babies, and then found this contraption which contained our son. After a tear-jerking cutscene and then realizing that we could save our son, we continued our journey through the labs. We killed some more cannibals and then found this, I don't even actually know what to call this room, with this little girl in it who then proceeded to turn into this horrifying monster. After a lengthy battle with this monster, we came out victorious, making sure to pick up the girl's body on the way out. And just judging by the length of the recording, it is now day 100. We took the girl's body back to the machine and it got rejected, but we did manage to pick up a key card from her and open this next door. We then made our way through a series of caves, found this water jug with a head in it and made sure to drink from it, and then made our way up this pretty tall elevator to a room that contained another cool artifact where we were given a choice. Either bring down another plane, kill someone else's kid and save our own, or shut down the system altogether. And looking out the window, reflecting on the morality of this situation, trying to decide whether or not to save our kid, we came to a realization. You know what the pain of it is?
What?
There's two of us. There's only one kid.
Which one of us is the father? Which one of us?
So we decided not to find out and just kill the little shit. So after shutting down the artifact, making our exit, and having a fairly dramatic moment where we burned the picture of the little shit while freezing to death, we were officially done with the endgame. Though we did still have a little time before day 100 was technically over, so we headed to the yacht and opened up the locked door, picking up this forbidden butt plug and then taking it back to the same cave we just came out of. We were able to use it to open this door and pick up this strange artifact as day 100 came to a close. If you did enjoy the video and you do want to see me and Toast go to 200 days in the Forest Hard Survival, be sure to drop a like. We'll do 200 days if we hit... Actually, you know what? It's not even up to me. Hold up.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? You holding up?
I'm alright, I'm right.
Yeah, I was just working on the, actually just finished the editing on the Forest. Remember the 100 days we did?
Oh yeah, that was a pain in the ass, yeah.
Yeah. It was a long time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like fucking 3-4 days of just fucking straight just the forest.
Yeah, it's over now, right? So, you know, it's a good video. So, like, how many likes would it take for you to do another 100 days?
You serious?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, how many likes do you get, like, usually? Like,
Y-
what's your most liked video?
Hold on, let me actually check. I'm not sure.
Alright.
Currently, my most liked video has just under 6K likes, but I'm averaging, like, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 likes, I'd say.
Alright. Let's say, if you can get like an astronomical amount of likes, like fucking, I don't know, like 15K or something, then like I'll do another one, I guess.
So 15K, that's like a promise that you'll do another one.
Yeah, I guess.
All right. I'm hoping we don't get it too, but you know.
Oh, we won't.
Okay. All right, bro. Take it easy.
You too. Bye.
Well, you heard him. 15,000 likes, and we will do 200 days in the Forest Hard Survival. Obviously, be sure to check out Mad Toaster Waffles on Twitch and YouTube. Links for those are in the description. He's always been a good friend of mine, and he's just getting started, so if you could drop him a follow or a sub, that would mean a lot. But other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Be sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But other than that, it's been your boy, Bandit Banks, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace!